best way to have that conversation is to write the letter. So if you want to stay on side with the law here in Ontario or any other jurisdiction, there'll be documentation that supports the termination. You give them a letter that says you're being terminated with or without cause. If it's with cause, it's for these reasons, and this is what we're going to give you, and you're going to sign a release form. That's probably what will happen. So you're going to write this letter, and this letter will be fact-based. If they're being terminated for cause, let's call it performance issues. Then in that letter, you'll clearly outline all the times you met, the things you asked them to do, the things they didn't do in those various time periods and those various occasions, thus supporting your case to terminate them for cause. So in these conversations, I always found it was easiest to make sure I had written the letter and say nothing else than what was in the letter. You can even just sit there and read the letter to them so that you don't misspeak or get yourself into hot water. Of course, you'll have a preamble and you'll have some hopefully close to pleasant conversation after you've had the discussion. But at that point, it's their job to go home and think about what you've said, read the letter. If they need to seek legal counsel, they can, and then you'll work out a deal at some point in the future. If you're not strong in this area, it doesn't cost a lot for a labor lawyer to spend a half an hour on the letter with you to make sure you're not putting yourself in a position that will get you in trouble with the corresponding legal counsel. But I've always found it's best just to read what I've written down. That way I can't stick my big foot in my mouth. If you don't have cause, don't suggest that you do. There's no such thing as near cause in Ontario law. So if you've got cause, lay it out clearly. These are the things you did or didn't do, and you're being fired for it. End of story. But if you've got kind of a case, you don't have a case. So don't pretend to have a case. Say you're being fired without cause, and this is how much we're going to pay you. Pay in lieu of notice. That's what you should say.
So when you're finally ready to have that employment termination conversation with someone, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. Be ready to give a brief explanation as to why you made the decision. But when giving that brief explanation of why you came to the decision that you did, emphasize the results. De-emphasize, in fact, you should really not be focusing on personality issues to the extent possible. Even if it's personality issues that cause the lack of results, focus on the lack of results. And focus on the concept that it's a lack of fit, not a personal decision. Whether they believe you or not is their own prerogative, but you need to emphasize those things in your conversation with them. If the conversation veers into too much depth and they want to ask too many questions or get it, especially if they're reacting in an emotional, angry way, be ready to say, maybe now's not the time to go into all the detail. I'd be happy to have this conversation with you, but for right now, I think it's best that you process the fact that we're moving ahead with this. Here's the documentation that you need. Here's your severance. Here's how we're going to handle this. Here's the support that we're willing to offer you. Please take this away. Consult who you need to consult. But this larger conversation about why and how we came to this decision is maybe best reserved for another day.